Hello, this is Steve. Welcome back to my channel. After a short winter break, I'm a teacher, so I need these breaks. Haven't had a video in a couple of weeks while we've been on holiday. And we're going to have a class about that today. I trust everyone, all of you, my virtual students, have come back re-energized and ready to start learning your English again and take more steps on that journey towards the B2, the C1, the C2 certificate. And I'm going to help you do that by today doing some speaking and some use of English about what you've been doing during the winter holidays. Always a nice thing to do in the first class back, to check back with everyone, to settle back into the routine. So we're going to have some typical questions you might ask when you're meeting someone again after 2 or 3 weeks after the winter holiday in the Northern Hemisphere, where I am and I suspect most of my viewers are. And we're going to think about some specific Cambridge B2 C1 style, level, format, typical use of English questions based on those speaking questions. So here's what I did in class, and here's what you can do in your own classes and by yourself. Some typical questions that might fit a B2 C1 speaking part 1 or part 4, in that they are, individual questions just for you, and it's your task to answer them in a developed way with some nice vocab and grammar and make a clear point in trying to answer it. If you can do all those things, you'll be doing well in the speaking exam. So questions like, how did you celebrate? Did you do anything different? Did you travel anywhere different? Was there, for me, for example, I guess different this year, it was a bit of a DIY Christmas. We were doing lots of DIY this year, which is great because I love doing that. It's very satisfying. But you can answer these questions as well. Traditions, traveling. We went to Portugal, but that was slightly before the holidays. A memorable gift, my pressure cooker. Oh, I'm happy with my pressure cooker. What would a perfect winter holiday be for you? The meals, of course, this is important. And we had some nice meals over Christmas, I'm sure. Activities that you might do outside. The real meaning, spoiler, it's being with family and loved ones. Movies or books that you watched. We didn't have any very special ones this year. Well, my son, 2 years old, watched The Lion King for the first time. That was like his first movie, and he sort of watched it. I guess that is a nice family Christmas movie. And then New Year's resolutions, of course, we have to talk about this. And mine is, I don't really have one, do I? I need to think about it. I'll try and think of one by the end of the video. So we've got typical questions like this. What do? We turn them into use of English part 1 questions. Hopefully you have answered them yourself, but we can also look at a model answer of the kind of thing that you might say, and we can think, what makes this a good answer? What's the B2 C1 level vocab? Well, this is what I'm testing you on. Pause the video and look at questions 1 to 6 and choose the best word that fits the gap, thinking about the meaning of the sentence, the idea answering the question, and this will tell you what the answer should be. Pause the video because I'm going to tell you the answers, and as we say, but let's keep it up for a new year, if you get it wrong, please listen to why you got it wrong, because that's when you learn something. That's what you might be learning. That could be on your real Cambridge exam. So number 1, what are you doing with your family at home? You're exchanging gifts. Yeah, you have to purchase them or maybe trade them if you are some kind of medieval farmer. But when you're at home with your family, you're having dinner, you're exchanging gifts. Number 2, this is a bit like using English part 2 question. There's a comma there, which means we need to say which, because it's a relative pronoun for the previous idea with a comma, so we're going to say which. Christmas is one of those moments when you're all together, and despite being busy during the rest of the year. Obviously the ing means we need despite. Number 5, you stay in a cabin, like you stay in a hotel or an Airbnb. And number 6, it's such a nice change. Such a nice change. It is so nice. It is such a nice change. That's how we use such, isn't it? So well done for part 1. I say well done. Maybe you've failed and did terribly, but even then, you've learned something. So good. Let's move on to part 2. Now, the way I did this with my students in class was I actually gave them this text and said, what do you think would be on use of English part 2? Can you delete 2 words from each answer? The same questions we saw before about gifts and holidays and so on, that you think would be on a B2 or C1 use of English part 2 exam. Which words would you delete? And they did a pretty good job. They deleted words like, I had been wanting one. That would be a good one to delete. Or whenever. which is a good C1 word, even sometimes, maybe even C2. And for your second one, well, the kind, I quite like the here. Chilling by the fire, perfect to me, something sounds good to someone, that's a nice preposition. And anyway, you can get this kind of idea. Everyone in the family, those are the words you could be deleting. Try and do it yourself. Try and think, are there other ones there? Obviously, there's loads, because Use of English Part 2, it's lots of little grammatical words. But if you're understanding how to delete them, then you're understanding the exam very well. But anyway, what you probably want is for me to do it for you. So I did. Alternative answers to these questions might look something like this. Pause the video, Use of English Part 2, think of the little grammatical word, the preposition, the conjunction, the article, the relative pronoun. That might go in, well, that should go in these gaps. There's only really one or two possible answers for each one. I'm going to tell you the answers now because you have paused the video and you have written your answers. And you're going to write your answers and make sure that you got your score, because you need to be getting the 60% that you need to pass the B2 exam. It's a pair of gloves, of course. Handmade makes it a bit more difficult, but it's basically just a pair of gloves. She designed them. This one's tough. They are handmade. They're not from a factory. They're not from some, far away country. No, she designed them herself. Nice reflexive pronoun there. Difficult question, that. You're surrounded by something, in this case snow, and it would be an unforgettable experience. And because it's followed by a vowel sound, of course. Number 5, well, like fits best because roasted vegetables are an example of a side dish that you would have with turkey. And it's even more meaningful. That's a comparative in it. With even, it's a comparative. So score out of 6 for Use of English Part 2. Let's move on to Part 3. So we know how Part 3 works. I am giving you the root word. You need to read the model answers to the next 3 conversation questions that I showed you and transform the root word so it fits the sentence. Pause the video. Here come the answers. Perform, performance. Your performance ice skating was shaky, not so great. Satisfying, you have a satisfying experience. It gives you satisfaction. Number 3, how did you feel? Well, you felt very connected. You felt emotionally connected, meaning we need the adverb for how you felt. Number 4, the noun from kind. That's a nice one, a little bit irregular. At Christmas, in the winter holidays, you need to show kindness. Number 5, it's a remarkable movie. It's remarkable how it is so festive. And it makes for a magical Christmas. That's going to be the best adjective to describe Christmas. There you go, out of 6 for Part 3. I've only made 6 questions because it's a bit better with 2 for each model answer. So a mark out of 6. And we're going to finish with Use of English Part 4. Again, typical things that you might say about New Year's resolutions, about winter holidays. You need to use the the word in bold, the key word, and complete the second sentence so it means the same as the first. Be careful because there are specific grammar points that I am testing you on here. Specific grammar points that students often make mistakes with. Write your answer, 5 words maximum. We'll keep this as like B2, 5 words maximum. And we should have traveling to New York has been my dream. I guess you could say, no, has been my dream is the best answer because since I was 4 has been present perfect with since. The second one, we need looking forward to, right? If I can't wait to, I'm looking forward to. And looking forward to needs to be followed by a gerund because this is a preposition, ing. And finally, if you want to reduce sugar, then how much do you want to eat? Not much. You want to eat less. You want to eat not so much. So your goal is to not eat so much. Or you could use the gerund here. My resolution is not eating so much sugar. My New Year's resolution is to not eat. They both sound fine. The first one sounds a bit more natural to me, but the second one, if you have it like my New Year's resolution is this thing, not eating so much sugar, also possible. So as you can see, mark out of 6 for this as well, because you have 1 point for each part of the text, either side of the dividing line. You have a total of 24. 60% to pass would be, 16, 15? 15, right? Close enough. And of course, my New Year's resolution is something about running, to run 1,000 kilometers this year. I only ran 700 kilometers last year, so that's going to be difficult. But I should try and do it, shouldn't I? To finish the kitchen renovation. That's very expensive. But anyway, you don't care about this. Post your New Year's resolutions in the comments and do it in correct English grammar. And I will come back next week with more Cambridge English for these kind of videos. Goodbye.